Hello.
Ngô
Uh,
xíu này còn là rau phải hương chị chưa lời khen đấy là một lời khen
Không mới tăng lên chị ạ. Tăng lên rồi đó hả?
Ở team Phương UV có đủ người nhỉ?
đây thế à dạ đây
One is we're crank it up 2 times now. You can crank it up.
No, I'm gonna turn it down. Well, it's 24 already, and by the time that we get 18, we're 26.
hello sorry mate
You again?
how are you
That's fine.
it's getting better one minute but yeah now check out to Richard today hey and our team here so yes please give us
Okay, I can share my screen now.
yeah yes please
Before we start, just to give our picture of what's kind of going on today and
so
what we made on.
yeah, so this time we have a workshop with whole marketing team.
Yes.
We have discussed narrative for audience, for content, for website structure. Everybody have a lot of conversation there. So our CDA also present two of their options for information architecture and the TPI. And then after that, we have the new version, another option of AI that come from overall everything the discovery phase with teamwork. Now we have refined version, so we want to help you and everybody else to
So basically, you will see the updated version today.
Yes.
From the previous version that we discussed. Our team discussed yesterday.
and can you zoom it out a bit? Zoom in, sorry,
in.
zoom in.
Zoom in. Okay.
Also doing the presentation.
Does that seem better?
Yes. A bit.
That's the max I can zoom in.
Okay. Okay then. Thì vậy con này còn lên tắt bị chia thành hai cái. Okay.
Yeah, should we start?
Please go. Super excited.
All right. So like the BUV team has mentioned, just and I know like you haven't been attending the last meeting, so just we're gonna start with some intro and context, and then going to some audio and journey, and then before going to some of the new IA and content wireframe structure. So just a recap. So this week we are delivering the content workshop. We are aiming to deliver the discovery workshop later this week. And the overall goal of this week for us is really to have a really clear direction for the information architecture so we can move forward into thinking more about the kind of lo-fi wireframe, the specific content structure within each of the page, although you will see some of that today also, as a part to kind of showcase the content structure and content flow that we are thinking about. And on the overall process, we will, aside from the strategy process, which we are in the current meeting, which is the content workshop. For the other process, we are also going to start thinking about things like backend, feature discussion, and any follow-up. As soon as we lock down the AA, and for a design direction, we are planning to have a design direction workshop, I think later this week. From our last meeting, some key discovery findings. The website is organized around internal structure rather than user needs. I think this is something we all agree on, and especially evidence as we doing interview with specific team and department within BUV. Decision-making triggers are missing. So like a lot of content doesn't have a clear visual hierarchy, a lot of overused carousel, doesn't have enough proof or relevant content that parent and student may care about. Media is also underutilized and misaligned with the overall strategic goal of BUV. Content ownership and maintenance process is very ineffective. Minor content is really hard to do, and especially media is need a lot of ICT support and involvement. Also, analytics is something that is not being effectively leveraged and tracked across the BUV ecosystem. We also kind of heard some feedback around kind of the customer journey. Here we have introduction, discovery, validation, and action. You will see an updated version later on. But one thing that we got out of some feedback around was meant to include advocacy, which is like for student and parent who's already in the BUV ecosystem, and ways the website can encourage them or support the word of mouth, the promotion that they provide for BUV as a whole. We also discussed some key behavioral data, especially I think one of the most important metrics is just the page per session, which is around 1.4. And this could vary depending on the page or the time span. But generally, we are seeing people visiting 1 to 2 page on every visit. So, we want to see how we can make this better or optimize it to convert these parent and student into potential serious considerer for BUV. I'm just going to go quickly over the 2 directions that we presented last time. That based on the kind of finding, but also research. This is just a quick recap. So for direction A, we want to consider a way in the site structure that we can support student and parents who are actively considering BUV and thinking of BUV worth their consideration. So we want to build for this direction, we propose a content pillar called Why BUV. That just kind of condense all the information about proof, about testimonial, about statistic, and about all the value proposition of BUV into a single content structure. And then the rest of the content can support the kind of discovery and validation process that go after. For the second direction, which is direction B, we really want to anchor around how we can highlight the career outcome as an important access for the strategy of the site. This being coming from the fact that we heard repeatedly, based on not only the brand research that BUV has already conducted for audiences, that career outcome and kind of the quality and the investment at the RL of the OI or ROI of the school is really important for parents and student alike who are looking for clear signal on like what if they're gonna get a job after the employment after they graduate. So we're thinking, is there a way for us to have career outcome as a way to consolidate our information? So for this direction, we were proposing a career and experience section of the website that kind of contain all those information about career, about internship, employer network, and that would run alongside study here, which is a really condensed section that contain information about undergraduate, postgraduate, and all the kind of a slice of all the visitor journey that we discussed earlier. And from the feedback from the team was that they like the clear sequential storytelling of direction A, and it was very aligned with how the user journey was going, especially with YBUV as a way for us to organize proof-led content as a really strong content pillar for the site. For direction B, there was a little concern around some of the kind of blurry content boundary, like some of these sections could belong somewhere else, or some of the content feels unclear. But the team responded that the career outcomes seem to be something really important, something we really want to elevate and highlight throughout all the visitor journey. So with that, you're gonna see some new direction that we've refined based on these feedback. I'm thinking how we can structure the website content to support these goals. As a key foundation for the project, we also want to take a little time to highlight that we are really thinking, we discuss a lot about internal needs, a lot about business needs, but at the same time, we really want to make sure that we put student and parent at the center. They don't have a lot of time to visit the website, like this website. They may be viewing a lot of website once. And so we really wanted to make sure that things come easy and reduce frustration. At the same time, accomplishing our business goal. So like if these two can meet, that could create a very good experience that would truly convert visitor into considerer. We want to make sure that their journey is seamless, especially on mobile, coming from different sources, social ads, or organic search. We want to make sure that their journey, visitor journey is not linear. People may come back, people may take a break and then come back later on different device. We want to make sure that the platform that we're building support the kind of complicated and messy journey that they may take. And finally, we want to make sure that everywhere on the site, there's always an action. There's always a way for the audience to take the next step. So these are kind of like the principle that we want to ground everyone into as we discuss the follow section. First up, yeah.
Sorry. I was being very rude and distracted. Could you just go back 2 slides?
This one?
Okay, so where's direction C?
Oh, we're gonna present it later.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I thought I'd missed the slide.
Yes, yeah. No, you didn't miss anything.
Okay, great. Sorry. Yeah, I know. And then he started talking about customer in the middle and messy middle and blah blah blah. And I'm like, where's the C? Sorry.
Yes, we're going to discuss the C later on. Yeah.
Solution to build the C.
Okay, great.
Yes. So let's go to visitor journey. Just as a quick recap on kind of like the brainstorm session that we had with the team in the previous section. But overall, we have 5 stages: awareness, discovery, validation, application, advocacy. We think that discovery and validation, are also awareness would be kind of like where most of the consideration happens. So this is something we need to pay attention to. But overall, we really want to make sure that every step we have a clear asset message and a clear focus for the website. There's a lot of, visitor consider a lot. We may not include everything, but we really need to make sure that we focus our attention and real estate the website to prioritize certain things. Like for awareness, we want to prioritize international, that BUV is an international university with high credibility. while also delivering good outcomes. They don't need specific outcomes, or they don't even need to remember specific things, but they just need to remember that in mind that like, okay, these quality, this education translate to something real. I think that's all that matters. Next up, discovery. We want to make sure that the students can identify program within BUV that could fit their like career and their dream goal. And that the school provide them with a strong career opportunity throughout that journey that result in them getting the job that they eventually want, as well as reinforcing that they have a dynamic, inspiring learning environment. For validation, we want to make sure that the experience that was presented in the previous step matches their expectation. So that is going to come through a lot in like things like student review, in the way the student life and community is presented, in the support service being offered, as well as more logistical things like scholarship, financial aid, campus visit, admission guide, like all the entry requirement, like those kind of more logistical things could also really matter in the validation phase. And finally, application is mostly around kind of more logistical information about advising, but also final program and documentation submission, those kind of more nitty-gritty detail. And for the like the parents' customer journey, I would say is very similar. They just have a little different prioritization for each of the stage. Specifically, they would want to care about this idea of safety. I think we saw in a report that BUV is seen as a very solid choice, but also safe choice that ensure that child is successful, even though they may not going abroad, which is has many other new emerging risks, and that parents would care a lot around like employment rate, internship opportunity, word of mouth from other parents, but also other sources on the website. We also heard that like obviously parents would also care a lot about things like tuition fee, financial aid, scholarship, financial plan, especially during the validation phase. One last step that I want to highlight for both the parent and student is the advocacy step. Word of mouth is something incredibly powerful, and we heard from a lot of data, but also a lot of report that ways we can activate or turn people who already like BUV, already love BUV, already part of the ecosystem, into kind of advocate, into people who spread the words would be incredibly powerful. So we wanted to make sure that on the website, there are ways for them to promote that content, maybe shareable news about their child success, or things that they can share or engage with, such as parent network or events that cater specifically to the parent community. So that's the overall customer journey. And across the kind of, two column here between the student and parent, you can really see that there's a lot of overlap. There's a lot of, share interest between the two, but through kind of like a slightly different lens, through a slightly different language. And that is kind of like the way we think about this content structure. Like, how do we make sure that both these audiences who have very shared interests to navigate through the website effectively and efficiently, without being like, oh snap, is that the content for me, or is that the content for someone else? Who don't want any kind of such hesitation. We want to make sure the journey is smooth, and it just come naturally to student and visitor and parents. For here, I'm gonna stop a little bit. I wonder if anyone has any questions.
It's good for me.
Okay,
You guys.
right.
How it was is fun.
Yeah, great.
So now for the option C that you've been waiting for, I'm gonna walk you through the overview of the information architecture first, and kind of deliberating on why the structure is the way it is before we dive into specific, like what page contain what and what section contain what information. So, bear with me. So overall, there's 3 levels to the website. There's the utility nav, which as you can see here, that's the kind of like secondary navigation. The main navigation, this is the main thing that you're gonna see throughout, as you open the menu. And then obviously you also have the footer, which is like kind of like the end moment of each of the page that you encounter. So the way we've been thinking about this is for the main navigation, we really want to focus that for parent, for student, really make sure that this is clear and easy for them to navigate. Something to consider as the main navigation, And even the secondary navigation is that most visitor will not encounter this as they go into the site. 70% of visitors are on mobile. And as you can know, on mobile, the menu doesn't open automatically. You don't see it like you do in desktop. What that means is that the main navigation is something you have to consciously reach out. Like people have to click on the hamburger menu and actively look for something. So what that means is that page content is critical for exploration and surfacing interest. So they look for those things versus like the kind of like the navigation and the architecture is more important for people to find things within the sea of content BUV has to offer. So the helpful thing to think about is that the navigation is really the anchoring device, is the lighthouse, is the map that they open from time to time as they browse the site content and as they create interest or see things that they want to look for. So that's kind of like the function of the navigation on mobile. But as a whole, we feel that is more important on mobile usually that we make sure that the content flow of each of the page surface things that the visitor actually want at the current moment versus having to ask them, opening the menu and looking for something. So that's just something we want to make sure that we're clear on this. So that is why like we want to make sure that the navigation is really streamlined, it's easy to understand. As you can see here, there are 5 items. We try to keep it really concise and limited to make sure that the navigation is really easy to find and every pillar is clear for the intention of the visitor. So why BUV? I mentioned this earlier. This is from direction 1. We consider this section, we really think is to answer the question during early awareness or middle awareness, I would say, and then early discovery. This is where they're going to go to, they're going to click, they open the menu and they click on that if they have questions about BUV as a whole. Maybe they don't have a specific question for a program yet. Maybe they don't have a major in mind yet. Maybe they're a parent who's short on time. They just want to see what the school is about. We think YUBUV is a really compelling section that houses all of those information around the education quality and the unique differentiator for BUV. So people kind of come here asking questions like, oh, what is BUV education quality? What is BUV British degree? What does that mean? Not everyone's going to know. What are some career prospect or outcome or employability that BUV will has? And then secondary, we also think they're going to come here if they want to see who's teaching at BUV, has anyone wants to see at BUV, or are there any information for things like international student as they naturally go through the site. Why BUV? Why BUV? I think there's 3 good reasons for us to consider this kind of structural item. First is that it speaks to consideration. We know this consideration is a critical choke point right now for BUV. It's kind of stagnating over the past few years. So we really want to have a really strong content pillar that speaks to that directly. And that could be a way for us to also extend the homepage. Homepage is really critical. We know 60% or even 70% of people, depending on the time, come to the homepage, but the homepage has a lot of competing priority, right? It has to direct you to the program. It has to surface news. It has to link to other things that may not, so it has a really limited amount of space that it can offer for something like approved content. So why homepage is important to include approved content? We think that YUV could be a natural extension where we can house more in-depth information on each of the proof points that we're going to show on the homepage. So like maybe on the homepage, we show, BUV has 100% of students graduating and then finding a job or academic degree after graduation. If a student or a parent have question on that, they can click from the homepage to go to a content pillar in YUV to learn more and see what is that about? Or maybe there's more data that they'd be interested in. Another good point is that it also offers a ways for you to consolidate the proof. I think right now, all the proof content is really scattered. Some things is in PSG report, some is in deep within the program detail information. So this is a way for HR, I think for us to consolidate all the information into one hub, especially for parents to see at a glance. But also, yes.
Andrew, sorry. Sorry, it's not empty. And can we go faster a bit?
Okay. I will try to
We have enough time to discuss. Yeah.
Yeah, guys,
yeah.
just a bit of a bit on, if the rest of the team have seen this, then I'm happy just to see the highlights. I don't need you to go through every page and convince me. If I see
Yeah.
something I don't like,
Okay, I can try to go faster. Yeah. Yeah, this is a little news on where to make sure we go, but
yeah. So I'm about to tell you something I don't like.
okay.
I don't like programs.
So here's why we think programs could work. Since we are in, yeah, since we are,
Writing, only the writing.
No. So let him explain why they want programs.
so because we having YBUV, we think that it's critical that we have a content hub that's clear and navigatable for students and parents during discovery validation. Because discovery, we think, is all about program fit. They're gonna look for program. They're looking for like specific degree that they're interested in. We think program is the most easy and straightforward way for them to get there. And you can see later that we did audit some competitor site, and program is a pretty common phase for that. Other tactics include like something like study here, but we think that it could get muddy because study here in a lot of other sites contain a lot of other information. Because we already pulling that into YBUV, we feel like program necessary here to make sure that they get to that discovery phase and that program detail page as fast as possible and as efficient as possible, versus having to dig through more information. So this is kind of like our intention. And this program is really a way for you to get to the undergrad page, and then, or maybe the industry page that leads you to the specific program or degree quickly and efficiently. Next, I'm gonna, maybe you can keep going unless you have any other thing to share at this point. Yeah. Okay. Admission and aid. We think that, since we have program and we have YBUV, we need a content pillar that support people during the validation approach and the application phase. So that means people who are very close to seriously considering BUV or have already considered BUV as one of their maybe one or two last options. So this is where they gonna start comparing. So we want to make sure that this content hub support that effort, and they will be looking for things like tuition fee for their specific program. We're gonna be looking for scholarship opportunities that are maybe relevant to their their level or their program, and then they're gonna look for next step for the applications. So this is a really efficient way to get people there and navigate people there really quickly. And then the student experience is something that.
Sorry to interrupt. Just a quick question on the word aid.
Yes.
That makes me nervous. The implication on the
yes.
the
I see your
implication on
point.
the implication on the homepage navigation is that there is aid available for everyone because it is part of the top level navigation. That's not true, and I don't want to telegraph that at a top level navigation. So maybe, it might be admissions, and what I think you mean by aid is helpful support, not financial aid. But every single parent coming to this website is going to look at that word and go financial support. I think what you need to do is go admissions and support, or admissions and help, or admissions and something, but I'm uncomfortable with the word aid.
Tuition.
Yeah, maybe fee, maybe fees.
So admissions and fees, right? Admission and fees. If they want to have a fast navigation to how much things cost, that's fine. But the word aid is something I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, can I share a quick comment on this? Previously, we have discussing about study tab. This containing program name and admission and fees. the respective programs to combine, because as far as I think, the behavior of customers that they're looking for programs, and they also have want to find the fees or the admissions guidelines materials of that program in particular. The second thing is that the admission and fees of particular programs in UV is very different. So if the science map is demonstrated like this, and for example, if I want to look in for a program, then admission guidelines and fees is not up there, I will have to navigate into the next column, and vice versa. If I want to see the admission of the program, then this will be listed down below as clicked into the program name to see the admissions guidelines of that particular programs. So for me, it's a bit complicated. And second of all, if we demonstrate the order of the column in this particular order, then I don't see the journey that is convenience for parents yet, because it's all show things that are related to students, programs, student experience, stuff like that. So if we can, is there a possible option, Dean, while we simplify this more to YUV, but we looking for students? And I would not place this as student experience. It should be containing all the things that is non-academic to UV. So I'm not sure of the words yet, but I don't see, for example, corporate partnerships or research anywhere in this site map yet. So
Yes, we will address secondary audience later, but also to your point about the program detail, we are going to propose both, that the fee is both available on a program detail level, and it's going to be very accessible, as you will see, we present later, but also that on the tuition fee, that the reason we think this is a really important thing is that parent may not remember that tuition is available on the program detail page, which is not always the case for a lot of university sites. And if they revisiting the BUV site days, weeks later, like they need to find a signal, a clear pathway towards that tuition fee. And we think we can get them pretty efficiently once they land on the tuition fee page by just having things like maybe filtering, or maybe they can search by their program or filter by program, or various methods for them to quickly identify and get to that quicker, versus having to shift through all the program detail page. Because program detail page is something we have a lot of information, and we want to make sure that it's available on both. So that is really clear and easy to find, versus having to go to program detail page or dig through that category. I think could be less efficient and less something that parent would less likely to do or more frustrated by. And this is something we're going to go through more as we present the section within each of these columns. And also the thing you mentioned will be addressed, like research. We'll be talking through that a little bit later.
Can I challenge the point that you say that if parents forget about the price of the programs and they will want to find that on the site again, they will have to go to admissions to admission and fees to find that. But realistically, I have to go to that column. I will still have to find the program names, the program
Yes,
that I'm looking for.
So that's why we're suggesting you can search by program name and quickly get to that, versus having to go to the program detail page.
So I still have to remember the program names. So the more convenient way for me to find is that I will click in the study and find my program names, and the fees and admissions has been included in that, instead of going to the separate tab. It's like you were shopping on the commercial site, right?
No.
You have to remember the name of the product.
I think the important part is how many steps they need to reach to the price. For the first journey, they need like at least 3 or 4 steps. Or this if you add like that, you need to choose, click on the admission and pick the program. So if the number of steps, to think that how that we reduce the number of like steps on their journey to get more they need. So I think this is what I mean.
If you are
And I also want to point out that across both of the kind of journey that you laid out, like they both have to remember at least the program name, right? Like we both agree on that point. If they remember the program name, they can if you go to admission fee, you can quickly enter that, and that could get them to their like tuition breakdown or like that program really easily, and I think could be more efficient. But the key here also is that like visitors don't navigate by efficiency. Efficiency is just something they expect. They don't navigate by efficiency. They don't think like, oh, I will get there easier because they understand the site structure. They don't remember the site structure. They don't remember all that stuff. They just remember like, oh, I need to know tuition fee. Oh, this is tuition fee. Oh, so it's more about active recall and reducing the burden on student and parent versus like which is easier. I don't think that's the way we should frame it, but like helping people have option, and wherever they go, they could go there quickly and easy, I think is the way. If they don't see tuition fee, I think that would be more, they will need to remember more versus like having a dedicated section.
I think I get your point, but if you think that efficiency and number of steps is the important part, then I think that the main menu should be way more longer than that, so that people can go to and click everything they want in just 1 or 2 clicks.
No, but
So I don't think that
it should reflect to what we brainstormed last week about content priorities. Experience journey of parents and experience journey of students. When we have to pick up those priorities, pick here. We can put everything here, of course.
So that's why, yes. So I am
Within the journey of parent, tuition fee is one of their priorities. And also, I just to add on what Gan mentioned earlier, the purpose of having tuition fee on program page, and the purpose of having a separate admission and tuition fee, so they can get access straightforwardly. It serves two different purposes. On the program page, when people go in, the intention of going to program page is not to check tuition fee, is to check the program details. But we want them to see the exact price they can get this program for. So we put it there. That is another intention. The intention of people go straight to the admission and tuition fee is because they want to just check the tuition fee. So the intention of these two routes is completely different.
so for example, if parents want to go in and check the tuition fee, then you are describing them as window shopping. So they will see the price if they are on their range. So what to come to for our program to see if any courses are available and suits their intentions.
I think
Right?
I think parents won't. I would say.
Please let me finish. But
Mhm.
do you think that this is a reality behavior of parents when our students when they're searching for program for their educations? I don't think so. Because for the programs, it has to be the program that I want to study first, and it has to be highly credible first, and after that I'll check the tuition fee. I'm not going to some website and check the tuition fee first and then check the program back. I understand that in terms of make it more visible for parents to go back and check the price. But this not necessary. I still have not been convinced yet. But I still think that it will make it more simple by putting all the study for students to come and check. It's a bit more convenient.
Because you are thinking that people, no matter student or parents, when they go into our website, they will go through a full journey. That's not how people experience the website. There are a lot more people. There are a lot of people who don't know much about UV yet. Coming to our website, they may explore about when they may explore about why UV. They don't care about tuition fee yet. But there are a lot of people already talk to agent or who already know or who already got a program in their mind. They go to our website and they go straightly to the section where they can make validation whether they should make an application with UV or not, and that could be my UV, but that could also be tuition fee, which are the two important things for parents to validate UV as we discussed the other day.
Yes, I could also add
So they
another
don't,
point.
they don't experience the whole journey as we usually frame it.
Normally, WBC agents or recommenders in high schools or our student goodwill team, they should already know the tuition fee. If you think if you're talking about the validation process, then I think the validations evidence should be more visible than tuition fees. Because in a lot of the time, tuition fees is the thing that make us the second choice or the third choice. If that's not an advantage, it shouldn't be very invisible very visible in the homepage like that. Instead, I would recommend for example, research student proof or corporate
Research
research
student,
that
yes, in the more we agree and they were directly monitoring.
Yes.
I understand and Molly Bree's points of view.
I would recommend we postpone this point until I presented kind of like the kind of whole picture, because like we will see more of the homepage later, so that I think we could have a clearer picture of what CDA is proposing before we kind of discuss whether or not we want to kind of rethink about admission fee and kind of the structure of that. Do we all agree on that? Yeah. Okay. Cool. Student experience. So this is where we are thinking that it could be beneficial during late discovery, like someone who's already learned the basic about BUV or has the program in mind already. And maybe also during validation, during when students is like thinking like, oh, they want to immerse themselves in BUV, they want to see themselves live that life and achieving those goals that they have learned about in their program or in the YBUV sections. So this is where the parents going to come to see if their child has a good learning environment. This is a student going to go if like how does BUV help me find a job internship? Not necessarily what, but like how, like what specific program or what internship program or like how does that work? But also what kind of experience can I expect across the 3 years? So like, is there support system? Is there club activities? Things that a lot of students care about. And I'm going to go in depth in like each of the column section, like information in each of these columns later. But then I'm just going to go to news and events. Like we try to fit this in among other ways, but we just feel like it's just deserve its own section, even though it's not like a direct link to other content pillar because it's just so distinct. And we want to make sure that things like events are still accessible and clear for visitor, considering that things like you want to promote things like Experience Day. We want to make sure news on I think like content is really accessible. And I think like in the future, we want to promote alumni stories here as well as a way for you to discover those kind of content. As a whole, as you can look at this chart, you can see that across awareness, discovery, value, application, and advocacy, like the kind of the homepage we are expecting to be really focused on awareness discovery, but while maintaining some pathway for other stages. Why YOBUV program mission and student experience is really like on this like left movement where you're trying to get them from awareness to discovery to validation to application. And this is a good way to think about like these kind of structure that we're proposing. And as we also did some competitor IA audit on these specific items across these 10 schools. These are schools that we found either are direct international university that are competitor in Vietnam for BUV, BUV analog, so schools that are similar model to BUV where they partner with a school, usually a British school, and how they structure their content, but also some aspirational university that parents and students may look forward to or look as they research studying abroad options. And what we found is that things like program, admission aid, especially student experience, and a news event are consistently things that we see across the first level of the site. For YBUV, why it's not a first level navigation, we still find it common as a second level item, and a lot of school has this. It's just that usually they hide it a little more. So why we are confident this category could work well strategically for BUV needs. We do think that language testing could be helpful for us to validate the exact labeling, especially in both languages, because like there could a lot of be complication around that. So that's just something we want to call out, and we're going to follow up with that specific point later. So next up is utility nav. As the main nav, as we're thinking, is for primary audience only, so for prospective student and prospective parents. The utility nav really serves as a clear signal for secondary audience or audience that are close to the main audience. So what we have here is for international student. The reason is being high up, and it's not just a language toggle, is that we really want to make sure that as international students open this menu, they're going to see something immediately to tell them that like BUV has a place for them. We have it in other section of the navigation as well. We want to make sure this is visible and clearly on the first as they open the menu. Secondly, we have current students. A lot of people, and we found on Google search that they're gonna search for things like Canvas, for things like Portal. So just want to make sure that we have some space for them to represent that interest and just direct them to those resources. We want to be nice to our current audiences. Next is alumni. This is something we talked about, that we really want a place for them to build community, to feel a sense of belonging. So that's because they don't quite fit in the main audience group. We want to make sure we surface here so that they can quickly go to and understand and see what other activities or engagement opportunity they could do with BUV. And finally, is we have the partner. The partner, which is this is for the corporate partner. This is so different from other audience type that we want to make sure that why it's still visible for them. We put it in a utility nav so it doesn't compete with the information hierarchy that we're trying to build and streamline for our main audiences. And secondly, I just want to touch on the footer. The way to think of footer is that it's the last chance for you to convert the audiences or navigate the audience that they scroll down the bottom of the page. When people scroll down to the bottom of the page, it means that A, they are highly interested in BUV, and B, that did not find what they looking for their current page. So that means people who doesn't fit to any category that we talked about. So we want to make sure we still have quick links for our primary audience who happen to scroll down the bottom of the page. We have current student, just a quick links to their respective needs. We have the contact information, the work at BUV, people who want to apply jobs. This is something we find there's a lot of searches on Google Console for this, which make sure there's a place for them. And then finally, just any institutional information or miscellaneous page we need to include, but maybe not immediately relevant for our primary audience.
Can I ask what is different between the current student section in the footer and the current student section in the previous?
So what we're thinking is that for the top page, so you think like they will have some overlap. So for the top page, if you click on the current student, it's going to go to a landing page that just has all the information or content hub for current student. But this is just for in case someone scroll down to the bottom of the page, they didn't open the navigation, we didn't find that. So this is a final last chance for those audiences to have these links accessible to them still. So that's just like a catch-all for current student. And we feel like having it in both places would be useful because not everyone gonna open the menu, or maybe they just maybe it's at the bottom. So it's just more convenient to service this way. Because remember, they have to open the navigation to see it.
Yeah, just if you can go back one, I think you've got partner as the top level nav. Yeah. I think you need to be considering we have other partners other than corporate. One of them is an agent.
Mm.
He didn't mention it, so it's mention it.
Yeah. Yeah, we think this is just gonna be a hub for all kind of partners. And we can.
But who is included into this partner section is something we should discuss, because in last discussion, our internal team also discussed about partner, corporate partner, agents and schools. And we realized that for schools and agents, they don't really interact with our website as themselves. They will go here, find some information for students, for parents.
Well, that's because we don't have an agent portal yet. In phase 2, we might. So I can go in and go and have a look at my agent relationship. I can go and find out what students I've placed, how they're doing, feel like I'm fantastic. I can as an agent. Phase 2, and we need protection that allows us to consider that for the future.
We can do the-
No, I'm just saying, we need to have a situation where when we go partners, it's footprint, it's agent, it's schools. And if we turn it on or turn it off, it might be just a simple schools landing page. Join our partnership, come and have it, fill in a form and Quinn will get hold of you. Or hi, if you're not an agent partner with us at the moment, fill in a form and it's a contact sheet. That's all that can happen on that page at the moment. But in the future, my intention is for us to have an agent portal, a school portal, so the school can log into our B2B sales system. Can I go, how am I doing and how many students have I done and when can I book something? And it is an interaction point for our partners, other than it's just a piece of content. So if we're having that conversation, we need to think about 3 years from now, not the next website for September.
Yes, I think like, infrastructurally,
No, yeah, but it's like students. Like if you're a current student, the only way to get into the student content is with your student account. Same idea.
It doesn't affect just normally here. When I say Vietnam, there's those sections for Asians that is publicly.
Correct.
Yes, encouraged because they might.
But again, yeah, but if you think about
our purpose. It depends on our purpose. If we want to interact with the existing agents and partners, then they already got an account and they can log in and see things. But if the purpose is to new agents have more contact, have more partner contact, then it should be open. And then we have CTA, so they try to give the information.
And it's not a foundation like whether we go with this point or this point. There should be one single first step. So here is single first step.
That is one single first step from CTA. I think is fine. It's just between our team to define what is included in it. So what is included in the partners section is TBD.
yes, okay. I think like we can discuss this later if you have any information. I think like we will need to have more discussion with the corporate partnership team anyway. So I think like we can postpone that conversation later. Yeah. So I think like now, just in the interest of time, I want to make sure that we cover the AA content and organization. So this is a massive section, so I just want to make sure we go through it first. And because I think we have 1 hour left, question mark. I want to make sure we cover all of this before we discuss, because I think it will give us a better picture and a whole picture to discuss more clearly. All right. So I think like one of the key questions we start thinking about the content structure is how do we encourage prospective students and parents to dive deeper and to engage more meaningfully. You look at just the kind of broad picture. This is obviously doesn't give it a lot of detail on like, every detail. But we can see that like on average, people engage with 1.4 patient session. They engage around 31.54 of time. They have a okay-ish bounce rate for university site, and they have around 26-second engagement. So what it means is that we really need to make sure that our content is structured in a way that appeals to students and parents immediately and quickly, and then engaging them throughout the whole journey. And the way we think about the site, right? So we have like just the category of page. We have landing page. These are pages that people enter. We want to make sure that we surface content quickly and persuade them really efficiently. Going to detail page, these are pages that have more information on a certain topic, allowing them to dive really deep and link to a lot of deep content that they want to learn more about. A loose example of this is the program detail page. And finally, we have action page that is important for action, things like apply page. Once people visit this page, we want to make sure the conversion process and the process is as least friction as possible. And these are important for different steps.
An Peter muốn cắt lời là cái phần này An đi 10 phút thôi, tại vì mình chỉ còn có nửa tiếng nữa thôi, nên An sẽ cần phải thảo luận nhiều hơn ấy.
Okay, I will try to go fast. Right. To kind of go through these problems, want to make sure to go quickly through some of the current BUV problems on the content flow. A lot of landing page provide links but doesn't provide any elaboration. So you don't have a reason to click into these items. It doesn't really give you a sense of what the section is about. A lot of differentiator, testimonial, and statistic is right like at the bottom of the page, especially things like program detail, which is like way at the bottom. So it's really hard for people to scan and understand the big picture and the key differentiator. Content is often organized with institution structure. So like, like for example, here we see that it's organized by university, which is really hard for people to think about and remember. And there's just a lack of recirculation in general. So like there's like at the end of the page, it just ends. It doesn't lead you anywhere else, or there's no CTA or next step for you to do. So that's something we want to fix with our content structure. So let's first visit the entry experience. For the entry experience, I'll start with the homepage. 60% to 70% of people visit here. And on the current website, you can see that the infrastructure is there. It's just not executed very well. There's problem like the undergrad program is really buried. There's a really long list of degree by school that you need to scan and ship through. The partnership, like the awarding body is really hidden behind a carousel, which is really inconvenient. And then news and event are, a lot of it is irrelevant for visitor or outdated information. So how do we want to fix this? So we it's a good idea to just have a review of like some competitor site. In general, what you're going to see is that they have a lot of wide content really upfront, and also surface a lot of things like find a course quickly. This is for returning visitor who may be, coming from SR, who want to go to discovery or, really dive into a specific program quickly. So you can see also that's a common pattern, or they sometimes do things like searching, which is another efficient way for people to get to a specific program, especially if you have really complicated or, a lot of program involved. So what we are proposing is a content structure that really put the brand value proposition upfront, highlighting the British degree, and then following that immediately with things like the BOV education quality with proof and ranking, and then immediately getting them to the industry pathway quickly and efficiently, while also surfacing other necessary content that you would expect for content on the homepage. Because, I'm thinking like a lot of people who coming here during validation, during action, during application will need the CTA. And a good way to think about it is that we want to make sure that if they have a program, they go there quickly. But if they're not, we can surface more information about BOV to persuade them to click into that program. So this is a low-fi version of the homepage. It's going to quickly go through. We're thinking at the beginning could be some ambient video of the university and student life, give you a sense of the prestige of the university, while highlighting a key message that focused around future building and career, and then a statement about like the ranking that could be highlighted. And then going below, we're thinking a short section for people who are returning to the website to look for specific things, so like we can quick link them to undergraduate program, tuition, scholarship, international student. Again, like trying to make sure that we have a pathway for them quickly and early. Before going through the showing the six different degree awarding bodies, just really bringing the difference that emphasizes the British international school, not just an international school. And then going through a proof page that surface really detailed information around why you would choose BUV. We expect this to be carry-oriented and really strong and striking number that could really convince audience quickly. Then they can go learn more about why BUV through this link. And then surfacing things like the success story of students. We want to highlight things like where they worked at after graduation, using video content that's appealing, that's engaging for students and parents. And then going into like the different degree lists based on industry. This is going to be closed by default, but as they open, they're going to see different program degree in there, and then also the awarding body associated with it. So it's really clear that that you're getting an international degree from British, like a British degree. Going down, we surface other pathways that may be also important. These have not a lot of information, so we decided to show it all. Before going into the student experience section, which surface and frame the student experience as result, outcome, or outcome-oriented. The surface like number or statistic that ground these experience as something that provide a solid and strategic outcome for students and parents. So it could link things to like internship opportunity, support services, or just like the student life in general. And then here, importantly, if they scroll down past that part, we want to have a way for them to get started or apply, or maybe they want to talk to someone. This is a very prominent way for just to visualize it in the page content, and also providing other secondary information if they are not ready to book that meeting yet. Maybe they want to learn more about the admission or any of those kind of more secondary admission information. We're also highlighting here the next day to create a slight sense of urgency and to give like a really clear information on that front. For going to news and event, we're recommending here the news should be really concise and condensed down to just the event that are relevant and upcoming, not all events. And then any kind of news we can surface as a carousel here for people to browse through and learn more about. And then at the end here, we're also thinking we can surface specifically on our homepage, just like other secondary audience that we want, especially the partnership, especially if they're not opening the navigation. We just want a way for them to feel seen here, specifically in contact with us, obviously. One thing to highlight is at any time, they can still open this button to chat or to talk, engage with the conversation with the SR team, or going to that forum really quickly. So this is a secondary pathway that's already available for student and parent who I know in Vietnam has a tendency to call and very comfortable with that aspect. Going to YBUV, just quickly going through again. YBUV, we're thinking for this section is going to be a consideration of the key truth. It's important for awareness, important for discovery. And the way we are structuring this list is based on, like what I mentioned before, priority for students.
So just a quick question. It feels like that the home page was a department store of content.
Yes.
And it's like that you had to scroll 8 more times to get to the bottom of the page.
Yes. So I want to clarify on that.
Yeah, we're good.
We think that page length is not a concern as long as the most relevant content is always up next. So what that means is that, like, as you scroll down, right, you see all this proof, see all this language. If you're already interested in discovery, you're going to click on this link. You're going to go to find the relevant content you're looking for. But if you're not, you're going to look at the previous degree, you're going to look at the proof, you look at the success story. And here is actually a critical conversion point where if all those things above persuaded you enough to go into program detail, this is where you would go and you would take to the next step, which is like discovery. We don't expect people to scroll through all this page just to do nothing, right? Like, ideally, the content they're seeing is persuasive to them. Ideally, the content up to the top is relevant to students and parents, so that they take action as they scroll to the thing that really appeals to them. So in this case, that would be program detail. And if they are persuaded by anything or learn more, they can also go to YBUV. So the way to think about it is, like, as they scrolling the content is generating interest for them to go to other page. That is an important distinction. Like, we're not expecting people to scroll down. People who scroll down is like highly motivated, highly interested already. So
yeah, it just feels a little bit, and I'm happy to suspend my cynicism, but it just feels a little bit counterintuitive to the whole conversation we had a few weeks ago about task-orientated navigation and task-oriented experience.
yes.
So I get the fact that there should be in the window of the first loaded page, the search bar, and see how many people get past. So not that. The video screen should be smaller, and there should be, when that window launches, the search bar above the fold on the phone. But in that context, I think what we need to be able to do is just be a bit cautious about repeating, even if it's a summary of what ostensibly feels like pretty much the whole of the rest of the website on one scrolling experience. So I'm just out that at the moment.
I want to bring up a statistic we mentioned earlier. The people only visit 1 to 2 pages. If the first page is not appealing enough and doesn't have enough content that engage the visitor to click deeper, they may not ever get past that first page. They may get the first page and they may be disinterested. They may not dive deeper. They may not click into any program detail. So like our thought or strategy around this is like, we want to make sure that the first page, the home page, is really persuasive, has relevant content right up top, and have like all the pathway they need up top to really navigate the page. And then the lower down is really for people who are interested, who are highly motivated, that they still have content that is, become less and less relevant to them, ideally for the main audience. So that's kind of like our rationale behind this. We can't design it like this is just a wireframe. This is not the high fidelity. This is not designed yet. We can still condense this further. What we want to confirm with you is the structure and the content being presented here. Is that too much? Like, I think we can discuss more on like how we condense it, or maybe what section feels less important. But overall, we want to make sure we understand that like people only visit one to two page. If the first page is not persuasive enough, like they may never get past that. And
Yeah,
people,
There are more also because the key thing here is we need to improve the perception metric, and also I think it's good to show all the content, but it's I think much better if we can navigate the customer behavior to the more like detailed content page, because if we know that which button they click, we know more about their intent rather than us only scroll. So if the customer only scroll from top to the bottom, we not really know their intent. But if they stop in some section and they click like the more call to action diversion section, we can know the customer journey. Okay, how many customers come to homepage and they will care about the student life, or how many customers come to homepage and they click on the detailed program. That can create the whole journey and more like task oriented to see the customer flow through the page by page. So I think we can combine and make the homepage more shorter, but more call to action and like action oriented. Is that
I think
okay?
I see your point, and I do agree that like if people click through, that's really valuable information for us to shape the content for the next page. However, we do think that we do agree that like maybe the homepage could be more consolidated, maybe just reduced to just the text amount. The content itself needs to be persuaded enough. Like I said, like they need to urge people to click through. They have to want to learn more already.
I don't think we're arguing very much about the structure, and we're just arguing about the volume of content.
Yes.
And I think they're on the same page about it's not necessary to put as much content as front as possible, but it has to be very selected, because what you're telling us is they won't visit many pages. So what is upfront in front of them, which is the homepage, has to be very appealing, right? So we only bring we think it appeals to them to the front page, instead of making sure that they have the access to every other single page on this homepage.
So can I just, at this particular point, can I just ask a quick question about Vietnam and cookies?
And what? Sorry.
Cookies.
Cookie policy.
Key policy.
Oh.
Just scared. Because if I go to a website in Australia, as an example, an RMIT University or a Sydney University, first thing that pops up on the homepage or the first page of the phone is accept cookie policy, not accept cookie policy. If I accept cookie policy, you're able to drop a cookie onto my phone, and then you're able to see what I then look at in my first interaction with the homepage. Surely the intention is that we try and do the same thing here. And as a consequence, maybe this is a silly argument that we're having, because the fact is that if I display a particular behavior in my first interaction with the homepage, Then the second time I come to buv.edu.vn, I start where I finished, or at least the system is clever enough to identify that I was interested in a particular course, which is when I stopped this time. So instead of going through the whole homepage again, I start on the homepage about programs, or I start on the. So again, maybe we're actually having a stupid conversation, because if we're able to get the majority of people to accept, then how long the homepage is for the first time actually doesn't make that much difference.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
So that's kind of like our logic behind things like the search bar, is that if they already have a program in mind, they could quickly get to it. Like you said, like there's a possibility that we can use cookies, but I want to say that's like, it's not always going to be reliable, especially if they browse different devices, if they don't accept the cookies. I think like something like this provide a way for them to go back to where they are if we don't have that access to that technical information.
All right. I mean, I think that again, the high level feedback from me is let's not try and get as like every element of the homepage. Yeah, thank you. That.
That's what we can.
Which I think you're trying to do. I just think we need to be clear about it.
Yeah, I think we can consider more consolidation tactics. And there are definitely ways to still like, show a lot of information, but like maybe progressively and review them as the user wants. And I think we can discuss it more in design, but like if we can have alignment on the structure and the ordering, I think that could be something I would love to hear more BUV feedback from. So I'm just going to go quickly through the rest of the AA, which is a little more, has more of the things we need to make sure we go over today. So why BUV again? For these sections, first we have why BUV, a landing page. We want to make sure that this page has just like really links you and gets you to the different section quickly. We're expecting that it could be a extension of the homepage, like I said. So we need to clarify the value proposition. It needs to surface things like alumni success story. And then kind of if you get all past that, we think it could be good. You can start to dive into discovery. That's why the undergraduate degree is here. So you can go straight to discovery from this page. Second is the British degree. This is where you learn about the different awarding bodies at BUV and the value of the British degree as pertains to BUV. So, we want to emphasize that this is something that's, getting a real British degree, not something like from BUV, straight from the school, straight from the awarding bodies. Next is ranking and accreditation, showing the ranking of various programs and the discipline. And then next, importantly, is the career outcome. This is a new type of content I don't think we have right now on the page, where basically we want to aggregate a lot of information and data around employment, graduation, statistic on student success as a whole, and surely emphasize that employment forward visitor, especially for our students. Alumni success is a story hub that contains emotion-driven alumni story. We want to showcase where they work, how did BUV help them, how did that education prepare them for a career that they have now. Global opportunity surface like asserting a broad opportunity. So like really grounding that audience who are still considering going abroad as another option before going to international student Vietnam, which is a way for international students who navigate to this section, because find a way in an informational hub that speaks to them and convey that BUV has a program for them. Next up is meet our faculty. This is for parents who want to vet the faculty and understand who is teaching their child. Before we go into BUV story, which is just like the about page of BUV that contain history, information, mission, that kind of give you a sense of the history and the length that BUV has established itself in Vietnam. Next is the program. This is, like I say, a main hub for discovery, which is focused around program fit. So we want to make sure that the page is really direct and really direct you efficiently to the program detail, which is the most important page that you think in this section. The main destination for program is a just a short list of hub page that really streamline and leads you to the lower page quickly. We don't think people will visit this page a lot, but it's still structurally needed for SEO, or if you are going back from the something like a breadcrumb navigation. Undergraduate is where it's really clear that you want to be an undergrad student. So we want to surface really rich group content here more than the program page, specifically also because we expect people may also come here via search, or if they can come here if they haven't decided on the specific industry that they want to work at or the specific program. This is a way for them to discover, and kind of we really need to make sure that we have some true content here to help with that. I have a page here, but I'm going to skip over here, and I think it's better if the UV team can review after. Next up is the industry landing page. This is a new type of page that categorizes industry program by industry. This is a much more friendlier way for visitor and parents to search a specific program that may be of interest to them, especially since we have a lot of overlapping programs. This is something we could also think could be promoted via SEO to really drive attention from there and provide a grounding on like how BUV work with specific industry. We can highlight things like employee or alumni specific to that industry to really build credibility and reputation. Program detail page provide the really detailed information on the program. We think that it needs to be much more proof forward than it currently is, because this is a page where they're gonna expect really specific information and program, and we need to really convince them that this program is worth it before they even consider things like tuition or admission or anything like that. And secondly, that this page is linked directly from SR during their advising or consultation. So we want to make sure that this page on its own deliver enough information to be persuasive. I'm going to go quickly here, but one of the highlight is that we want to include a jump link so people can jump through the different sections quickly. This is important for returning visitor who may be looking for tuition fee or looking for things like information about entry. This is a way for them to jump down to the different section. And then we have a kind of short overview information highlighting things like the length of the program, which is quite different from other programs, but also things like what is that, where is the teach, what is the basic requirement, and who is providing the award for this. I'm not going to go down here, but some highlight, we want to showcase the awarding bodies. We're going to make sure we showcase statistics specific to that program. And then also, obviously, we want to surface students who have graduated from that specific program and how they have succeeded after. And then we go into admission information, tuition, and more logistical information that people will need to spec on this page, like the program structure, different global opportunity that they may have, and then go into kind of like more recirculation content like news if they get to this point. Next up is postgraduate. Not going to go in depth, but like it's very similar to undergrad, where we want to showcase just a slice of all the different content inside, but we want to highlight things like career outcome and employee connections, which is very important for an alumni profile, which is very important for postgraduate. Their peer. University preparation is a hub that provides all the information for the different pre-uni program, and IELTS provide pathway for English program. We are thinking research actually is a good candidate to be here to highlight different research program. This is something we heard from last section where we want to place a research program. We are a little concerned that if we don't have enough strength, like enough content on this page, or the content is not strong enough, we may not want to put them in a first level item or more exposure plus. But let me know where do you want to put this BUV team, or how do you feel you should prioritize this research at BUV? Because I know like it's not like a currently surface content in the current site. Mission and 8, like I said, this is mostly focused on validation and fee and kind of like more things people may consider during validation or during application process. So here you're gonna find like a really structured content that really bring immediate action first. So how to apply is really high up. And then things like fee and financial report is a little low down before visit BUV. So Mission and 8 provide a overall information on a high level snapshot of all the page you have and quickly leads you to them. We don't think people are going to linger much at this page. It's just a navigation focused page that just navigate to where you need quickly. How to apply, going to provide just the different step on how to apply and what you need to do, what is different step, what's the process like, what's the time it took. Application calendar, provide a clear admission calendar for each of the program. Fee and financial support, like I mentioned earlier, this is going to be an aggregate page that provide a way for you to view the tuition fee for a specific program very quickly. We can do that by search, by filter, but the main purpose is for people who are returning to the site or parents who may need this support to get to that tuition very quickly if they want to reference quickly something, for example. And like I said, we're going to have the program fee detail also going to live here. It's going to be cross-linked from the program detail page here, actually. So people can access them from both sides. But this is going to have all the detail breakdown by semester or a different program it has, and just give you a more detailed picture of the program detail. We also expect we can have things like the ROI calculator could also surface here. Scholarship is the main content hub that allows you to discover scholarship quickly. We really think that it could be very important for us to have some kind of eligibility filter, so that you can search by program or by your level, and it could surface just the different scholarship that apply to you directly, so you don't have to search manually through all the content of the different scholarship, which is very inefficient. But we will understand that we still want pages like undergraduate scholarship or scholarship detail that allow you to link to these scholarship from outside the website. Maybe you're talking to SR and SR wants to send you a list of all the undergrad scholarship. Would be a way for them to do that. And obviously we need a scholarship detail that provided in-depth detail on the specific scholarship and what is the requirement or applicability to your specific program. And Visit BUV is here because we think this is important during the validation step. So people who are already the step most likely will need to visit BUV to get one last look before they make the decision. So this is a way for them to gentle nudge them to do that. They can also do that during in the event page. So, but this is a much more visual way for them to do that. Much more easier way for them to do that. Near the top end is student experience. Student experience, like I said, is really for discovery and validation, especially for students who really values like seeing themselves in here. As a whole, we would expect this section to be organized by a little more career-focused lens. So we're gonna put things like PSG, career service, academy support up the top to really ground that the student experience is in support of the career outcome and the result that you may get during the experience, rather than just like chill or something like, which is fun, which is some word that has been described about the BUV experience. So we wanted to make sure that we ground that in the like that kind of brand sensibility. For the student experience, we expect this as an overview page that gives you a broad view of all the content. So, gonna give you a sense of what PSG is. It's gonna show you how the PSG program has give you like readiness in terms of career. We wanna hear some student voice before linking you up to the various different pages that this page may have, things like academic support, student activities, well-being support. And also we want at the end here, we just highlight Life in Vietnam for the international student, but also highlight how the campus and combination is supported at BUV. So PSG, highlight the program, but also we think one important factor we need to revise is make sure that the content here is really carried forward and easy to understand. I think like the current page has some really good numbers we want to bring up and make sure that is understand the value of the program first before diving too deep into what the program actually entails and how it's structured internally, which can be a little intimidating for student and parents. Career service, like I said, is going to focus more on the service part and going to highlight how BUV help you get to that point in your career. Can highlight things like the different program that you have, the result of those programs, but also what students say that's how the program helped them. Calendar support provides a clear page for academic support and showcase that BUV support you academically throughout the whole journey. Student community is where we think could be a place for all the different student things that happen inside BUV during and after they graduate. So we're thinking like student activities, student associate council, student club, but also alumni community. So it's clear for them that like throughout the journey, they are supported and they have a lot of things that they could engage in. Well-being and support provide a trust signal for parents on safety and well-being and safety. while living in Vietnam provide a clear way for international students to see how it's like to live in Vietnam. So that would be like, what are the options for me to travel? What is things that I should experience while in Hanoi, for example? Why campus and accommodation provide a look at the campus at BUV, what it is, there's a tab, but also the different student accommodation available. We think like this is, we think of this as part of student experience because it's, you know, we think that campus is extension of that. Next up, and near the final, is news and events. Just like quickly, but news and event is where you get recent news. Yeah.
Có 5 phút
Yes.
nữa thôi. Wrap up.
Yes, wrap up, right? Okay, we done.
Okay.
Okay, and anyway, so this is, we want to make sure that it's direct and clear. So on this page, we think it's just going to have a bunch of feature event. Things like open day should be really prominent here because that's your things that are upcoming. We're going to promote that. But then we're going to sort by topics for the news and then upcoming event. And then I think we also think that alumni success story could also be surfaced here for people coming to see news update, especially alumni going to see this page. For the news page, this is going to be an aggregate of the news. And we think that there could be a topic page for each news. It could be good for SEO, but also the structure of the site. And finally, events. We think events could be a quick way for you to engage with BUV. So we want to reframe this as more like a way for you to engage with BUV. This is actually not the right content flow. Sorry about that. But we think that it could divide into 2 types of events: upcoming events, showcasing on the upcoming event, but past event could also be opportunity for you to surface event that already happened and invite people who attended event to get things like media, pictures from that event and share it to their social media. And event detail obviously would surface all the key event information. Just want to go quickly here, but we also want to propose a new form structure that really greatly simplify the content flow, that they really need only core information, and then they can they can fill in more information to get a better information, better advising experience, and maybe get a faster response. This is to reduce the amount of form field you need to fill, and that would, I think, would greatly increase the amount of people who finish this form. We also think it's important to provide alternative ways for them to contact, including social media, things like WhatsApp and Messenger, and Telegram for international students or students who are shy about doing these kind of direct talk before they make up their mind more. For the search,
Okay,
we
so-
also suggest.
Sorry, just really quickly, have you been given by SR the minimum quantified lead data captures fields that we need?
I think we discussed it a little. Yeah, I think we discussed it a little bit.
So in
Okay.
redesigning your form, I don't see all of them there. They need to be there.
So what I
That's good.
understand,
Get your form.
What did you say?
So there are 7 specific pieces of data that I require to be able to capture on a lead. They need to be in the map.
our main concern is that too many forms may deter people, and I think a lot of these forms could be automatic. So things like if they click from a program to this page, we can just populate that field with that specific program, right?
I understand that completely, but I want to make sure that the form captures some data. So if it automatically pre-populates 1 or more bits of data, great, but I want to be able to make sure capture 3 useless pieces of information, which then mean I've got to do another piece of work, another effort, form filled in. If they're prepared to fill in a form, then we make it easy for them to give us 7 pieces of data.
So you're thinking like you would prefer like that the form input could be more front loaded, because like we're thinking like those information. I was wondering like, could the SR get that from the student instead, or like during the consultation, or like a follow-up email even would be a quite effective way to do that.
You're calling this a new apply form. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
So what's the purpose of this new apply form? How do we then do it? What's the customer experience post acquiring
So-
1, 2, 3?
So this
5
is
bits of data, not
so
7.
this is not actually apply. It's to talk to a. So we are reframing this as talk to a people like a advisor. Because like I think that's basically what the form is right now. I don't think you have a apply form directly in the site, as far as we know. And
Yeah,
the current all the site is just talking to advisor, which is a much
But
softer
then-
action.
Yeah, but don't call it a new apply form then when I'm watching your presentation, Siri. And the reality of this is, if this is a please contact me request,
Inquiry.
it's then in inverted commas an
Inquiry.
inquiry form. That's
Mm.
fine.
Mm.
The best number to call me on, the best time to call me on, and the email and address. But again, I think we just need to be really, really clear about the fact that it is our intention to focus every activity on capturing 7.
Mm.
And if this is an inquiry form that says, hey, could an agent please, or a consultant please call me, or please contact me, that's absolutely fine. That will then be a contact center person ringing,
Mm.
saying, because of us receiving this application inquiry. Hello, it's me from BUV, Mr. Smith. Thank you for reaching out. Just want to double check that we've got all your contact details correctly so I can pass you on to the right person. There are a couple of things that you haven't filled in, or there are a couple of things we need. What course are you interested in? And is your daughter or son in G10, G11, or G12? That's fine.
Mm.
They can update that record inside Salesforce and we capture that data at that point. But again, I just want to make sure that we're really clear that this is not an apply form.
Yes, this is not. Yeah, this is just the reframing of the current apply form, which is what is labeled. That's why we label it. But this is very much like you say, a
Well, even
Contact
the current
us or-
platform is not like this, and there are two CTA on website right now. One is the platform will take them to apply application portal, where they will make an application. That is a very complicated
yeah.
form. What we're talking here is just a lead form, and
Yeah.
it is a form.
Yeah, I think this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
that's why we were confused too. That it's labeled apply form in the current site. But yeah, this is very much consultation form that leads you then to that later process of like actually applying.
Actually, for this is in Vietnamese, so what they are suggesting here is để cái nào chị vậy mở full cái form lên. Lần sau em làm những cái này bằng tiếng Anh nhé, cho nó nhanh nhé. The full form capture 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 category for information. What they are suggesting is that the information, the question asking, are you a parent or a student, and which brand are you interested? They will put it down here instead of in the main form, and they're saying that if you please fill in further information so that our team can provide information.
It doesn't have any say.
So just break form to like even when it only has 6,
It doesn't have 7. And that's one more missing that you can half that.
So please, before buy the form, please ask for our consultation first.
Yes.
Please,
So I think like just the structure that we want to propose here is that we want a core, really minimal set of questions, and then follow up optional questions that they can fill in. So they can still submit if they want, or they can fill out the whole form.
Yeah, in our customer journey, we've got a mechanism to be able to solve that, but it just, in that context, there's only 6 fields on that current expanded form when there needs to be 7.
Okay. Yeah, I think we can discuss and kind of validate like what fields need to be there, and I think it'd be easy. It's just I think we didn't prioritize which one is core
That's fine.
and which one is optional. Yeah, okay. And then just quickly in a search, I'm gonna suggest a search, have some suggested search before you enter any search. And then it can surface suggested result before taking you to a global search site. I think this is a I think the search and right now is not working very well, but I think this is a great way for students to look for very specific information on the site, or search for information in an intuitive way. So yeah, I think that's the end of today's presentation. I was wondering, like, any question? I know we are a little bit over time.
So there's just a couple of high-level bits of feedback for me. If we could just go back to the first slide that's got the whole homepage navigation, so that a high-level navigation, the 3 levels of navigation on it.
Let's see. This one.
Nó rất lâu rất xa cái đầu bắt đầu. Cái slide đầu tiên nói về tổng quan đấy.
Yes.
Okay, so look, I mean, I think there's a couple of things, just like transparently, and you guys can have this internal conversation with the team. Really happy
Yes.
with YB, not happy with programs. I kind of think that what we need to be doing is I think we need to be thinking about using words that are more customer friendly. I'm not entirely sure that parents are going to be showing up looking for a program. I think that's an internal language from universities. That's not a customer piece of language. I think they're either looking for a field of study, looking for a qualification, or they're looking for a course. So either it's courses or it's study options or something like that. I think programs is the wrong piece of language. Sorry. Yeah, but it's not a customer piece of language. We don't. Oh, programs your kids studying at uni. I don't say that. They go, what course and what degree are they studying? So in a conversation language. Now I understand that our website's got to have at the moment things like spell and English language and postgraduate, blah 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 blah. So I think we need to find a different piece of language. So I'll leave you guys to solve.
Yeah.
Second thing is about admissions and aid. As I've said, I'm uncomfortable about the word aid. So admissions and supports or admissions and something else I think is really important. I also think in the logical sequence from left to right, it's in the wrong place. As a university, programs, what's it like to study there? How much does it cost and how do I apply? And what's the most recent thing that's happening at the university? It makes much more logic from left to right for me. So I would suggest as a navigation of this level, we switch admissions and student experience so that it is YBUV programs can I study. How much does it cost? What's going on today? Kind of feels like the responsibility that we have around sequencing the journey. I think of navigation point. I think that for me is really, really important. I think the opportunity about having partners and that kind of stuff, I think we've worked out. I think international students is fine. I think current students across the top and alumni across the top is fine. The only issue I have about news and events specifically is, again, I think probably when we get to second level navigation and design, and you showed us the homepage design on the phone, one of the things I noted was that you have a single piece of video proposed as the sort of top level entertainment interruption. There, right? One of the things that worries me just a little bit is on the homepage at the moment, and I'm not saying that this is right or wrong, I'm just it's a question. And on the homepage of a number of our other competitors that you've used as examples, there is ostensibly a carousel.
Yes.
Ability for the first impression that you get on the homepage to be, we are currently having an open day, or we're currently launching a new program, or we're currently launching a master's program. And that piece of, in inverted commas, advertising real estate is something that doesn't seem to be part of the consideration design.
Yeah.
And it's a question about how we solve for that problem.
I think I think that's a good point that we might want to surface up higher. I think it's just a matter of like, where do we want to put it? I think like it could be a small CTA. I think like there's sites that have done that before. There's like small like, open days open 2026 or something like that. I think would be effective. And that would be something we need to put up high. I think it's just a matter of where we want to prioritize that information versus evergreen content.
And again,
And yeah.
look, we can certainly construct an argument,
Mm.
which I would happily listen to, about the fact that actually if we're promoting Open Day through a whole series of media outlets, and there's a call to action in a Facebook ad or a TikTok ad or a Gonzalo message, and that link then goes straight to the page that says, hi, Open Day page, in what is the news and events section. And at the top of the page, on the bottom right-hand corner, there is a call to action that says register for Open Day. Absolutely fine,
Yeah.
because the vast majority of people will come into that Open Day experience on the website through that channel. And maybe we don't need a carousel advertisement kind of structure on the front page, but I think it's worthwhile us having the clear conversation about it and making that decision.
I think like the way to BUV, I think the way to consider it is like if you think like if someone haven't visited BUV before, right? Haven't known anything. They come in, like at what point when does the admission, like such an event would be of interest to them, like at what cycle? I think like I have heard there's a lot of people coming in from those events, so it's like a little confusing, but then some people coming from various sources. So I think like that's a point to consider, like at which point is that important? If that's really high, I think we may want to surface up high. But if it's like something that's they may consider after maybe they view YBUV, they view the program, maybe they don't want to verify last time, maybe that's important to surface there. So I think that's like the way I think I would think about it. And
yeah, it might be that if it's a second visit or a third visit and they've accepted our plea, then they get a advertisement about Open Day. So they've been to the homepage the first time and seen the nice interview video the first time. So again, I just kind of think it's worthwhile us having the conversation about it. And the only reason I raise it now is because it's a conversation that will come up with some of our senior leadership, because they're very used to and very comfortable being able to have a billboard advertisement they can use on 7 or 8 carousels on the current homepage. And if we take that away from them, we're going to have a very good reason. So it's not about challenging whether it's best practice and we think we like it or not. It's about making sure that we're able to explain why to a variety of stakeholders.
Okay, I think that's good. We got that.
Can we have the history data of how many clicks through regarding that billboard? Which is how many click forms that we get from that kind of advertising on the foundation. We think we have more evidence to.
Later on, we can add later. And now, not the conversion checking on the web pages. I think Paul also mentioned about the dynamic homepage. The homepage, the first section can be more like dynamic way on the customer journey as well as a browser in the same device. So we can provide the different combination, and actually the top homepage have a different, each section will have a different call to action. Example here is discover BUV, but if you are the second or the third time to browse, the top banner will be changed into the different section and different call to action, and we can lead them to different page. Why on the first? That is on the technology.
So I think as part of our presentation theme around what our final recommendations, I think it's worthwhile noting we might need to be able to kind of go, and here are 2 or 3 examples. If somebody's used their mobile phone 3 times to come to the site, the 3rd time this is what they'll see, the first time this is what they'll see, so we can show them.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think you're absolutely right.
I want to I want to share something a little bit about this dynamic conversation, dynamic content. I think like if we set up in such a way that visitor can expect the change, then I would say that that's a very strong strategy. Like maybe that's a because you visit and then it pop up. I think that's good, but we don't want to do in such a way where the content shift is really dramatically or really change, because the more familiar the visitor is the site, the stronger the next visit will be. and the more easier it will be to instruct other people to visit the site. So we don't want to do things like shift content structure around too dramatically. We want to set up in a way where it's really intentional and the visitor can expect those things in certain section or certain area to be dynamic or maybe to be more relevant to them. If you think about something like an e-commerce site, like they usually have something like continue your journey or because you visited. I think that is kind of the way we should think about the dynamic content, and then have other area where we really labeled it. This is something that because of their previous visits versus something that just changed for no reason, which can frustrate visitors. So I just want to bring that out before we dive deeper into those conversations.
So that should be the solution of technology or something else, which maybe we can have later on the later conversation when I also have the time to meet the technical team and see how they can do. The baseline here is how we can collect the cookies. And if the baseline here, if we have a good baseline, we can do the customization journey for each type cookie.
Even if it's 50% of visitors, forget it.
Yeah.
Just to add on, just to correct a bit, it shouldn't be a later conversation with the technical team now. We should design that there will be a dynamic homepage.
Yeah.
And then CDA is brief to the technical team, be a dynamic homepage. And they find a solution for us. We don't need to discuss with them on the solution.
No, I think let's be really again. Let's make sure that we're really clear about the language, because if it's a dynamic homepage or if it's a personalized experience, I think it's slightly different things.
Yes. So like personalized would be something like a Netflix homepage where it constantly update based on your interest. Very aggressive, very drastic. But like something like I would say more. I don't
know whether a university is as interesting or sophisticated as the Netflix environment. But I certainly would argue that if I visited the website more than once, starting my second or third journey back to the same homepage is going to frustrate me. I'm past the awareness phase. I'm now into doing more discovery and research. As a consequence, it might be easier to start them at the point in their last journey. So if they were looking at fees, and maybe start them at the fees page when they land again, if we have the ability to personalize, rather than start them at the click twice to get to fees again before they start the journey. Right? Now, our navigation will be dynamic enough that if we start them on the fees page and they don't want to be there, they want to either go back to the home page or they want to go back to a product, program, course, degree page. It's one click and they can get back from there. But again, I just kind of think that at the moment it feels like that if we force everybody to start every journey on the home page, that will limit our ability to make them feel special or recognized personally. So the challenge I have, you guys as a team overall strategically, is how do we give visitors a personalized, in inverted commas, so not Bennett, but at least a more personalized experience than just landing on the homepage every time.
Actually, personalization is what we want to achieve. Which my point is through having a dynamic.
No, again, yes, but honestly, our current website is going to but honestly, our current webpage, that's for me. If you additional language, that's a dynamic home. And so that's not a dynamic homepage. I mean, that doesn't post this. Just want to make sure that we're clear. English language. That's why having this conversation in Vietnamese is going to be clear. I'm in the room. I just want to make sure we're more clear
about. Also, a few other from my side. I think the wide view is a bit too long. The alumni outcomes actually the same thing. And I'm not sure that we need UV story there. Anyway, the YBV is still a bit long, so we need to work on that, both teams. We'll review it. The program, the team is suggesting to have research on the program, which we call it something else later, study options or something else. But what do we think about that? We should give them an advance on them. I don't think it should be in this section.
Research.
Yeah, again. It's not
Yeah.
that way.
Why
Yeah.
would we put it on? It's not that great. I mean, with respect, kind of go, if it's something that we as our reason to believe around, then yes, I'm happy to do it as a part of the message.
I
If
think
you
like a
want
good
to-
question. Yeah.
If there's a section, sorry, let me just finish. If there's a section about where, and I recall there's a section about where you can go and have a look at the school, like or school, there's a kind of page about the faculty, or was another page about individuals. If you wanted to go and have a look at who the professor of computer science is, it might be on that page you can surface or have a bit of what research they've published. So when you use the search bar and go computer science research, you can find something, but I genuinely don't think it's an important part of our second level navigation. I'm reading around the building for 5 minutes and I'm not to anybody to research.
I think like a way to think about it, if you have enough content depth, like we heard last time that we wanted it, so I think we put it here. But if you think like you don't have enough content for a compelling content that you click into, I would advise it to merge it with either the news and events, maybe as a type of news or events that we can surface. Or as you say, maybe it's more even hidden, like maybe it's associated with the faculty content type. So I think there's ways we can do it. I just need to hear from you, Sai, what you think the content, like the depth of content we can accomplish for such a page.
Hey, by the way, again,
Yeah.
as a CMO, if I'm wrong and it's an important thing that we need to be honest.
There are 2 points here. First, I don't mean their proposal that put the research within study option.
Agree.
Study is not a study object. But it's the first thing.
Yes.
The second thing is on your points, like when they go into the website, they go to faculty, and if they look into the detail of a faculty, they will see the research. I think way too deep in terms of information aspect, if they want to find out if our faculty are doing any quality research. And also it is kind of individual showcase rather than UV showcase that we have something about research. So if we're not confident that our research is not that strong, we can't have a separate section for it. But I think it can be a subtab within the news and events. Yeah, so that's when it's dedicated for research.
Previously, I proposed something like the partnerships tab, which includes research because it's not only internal research, also it's in collaboration. Most of the time, it's in collaboration with other university. But during the point, I think that we also have to prepare rationale for the team to explain why there's no research tab in there, because except has been endorsed the research tab in there from CRI team. In time, and if we do that, we integrate it in any other segments instead of having it on stage to prepare rationale for that. But to make an informed decision on that, and that's a new compilations of the research reports that we have from CI and schools at the moment to see if there's enough content to make it outstanding or not. If it's not, then we've got utility options.
And guys, I think phase 1. If in 18 months' time, Mike and our DVC and our new dean have got all of the academics all generating a lot more really interesting stuff, then we can click it on the. Right now, I think it would be embarrassingly small amount of content that actually would be interesting to anybody outside the building. Are they all the people doing the research? Yay, yeah. But I sat in an SLT meeting a week ago where Rick's presenting a whole pile of hours that people are supposed to be teaching, and then the hours they're supposed to be doing research. And most of the people who are supposed to be doing hours of research are sitting in front of the television not doing it. So right this minute, I'm not super excited about the fact that research is, even though like
We will have a we will have a better measurement system, so we can put the result at the secondary or the footer. Right after that, the server time, we can see how many click, how many
search
people.
research
Yeah.
for research, right? I mean, if it surfaces this an important content, great. I would argue that most undergraduate parents, bearing in mind that we've got some undergraduate parents in the room, wouldn't be that concerned about how good our research capabilities are in sending their kids to come and study a British degree here. Feels like it's a group.
And we have integration there to talk with Rick, and as long as we have a success rate, it's already good enough. And in the long run, if our CRI team really do in developing research, then we can have a separate session with them.
I think, for example, our bigger employability research, which is a thought leadership, that's research. That's
I don't mention actually new.
Yeah, that's more needed.
Separate something that's very.
Yes.
This is outputs of the screen types.
Other than that, I'm pretty comfortable. So good job, well done. We're moving along.
Yeah.
So
Um,
believe that you guys have already note down thing that we agree and the thing that we need to adjust more. So I think that you guys need to rework on this slide a bit. Like guys should translate the wireframe into English first, and then give us some time. Let us know how many time we have to like really give you everything. Feedback, comments, so we can move on.
I know. And also for the phone side, text side in your presentation, it should be bigger for the next time.
Okay.
Yeah. Fourth time or fourth time. Fourth time.
Yeah, I'm sitting here going, Jesus Christ, do I need new glasses? I'm really sorry, but most of the time I can see what I'm doing.
We're trying to cram a lot of information.
I
so-
get it. No. So guys, I think we're about 90% of the way there. I think there's a few language things that you need to sort out and take some of the feedback from the team. My question is, what's next? Assume that in the next 48 hours you can tick those boxes. What's the next?
Yeah, please go to your next step slide, please. Oh, you will.
Because I kind of want to see when am I going to see a wireframe?
So what right now we are planning, I think, is gonna deliver the discovery workshop, discovery report the end of this week. We are hoping that we could flesh out more of the wireframes, even more than you see today. And that will be batch A, the lo-fi wireframe that we're trying to push forward. And then later, I think also this week we're gonna have a little talk about the design language, the website. So that would be the homepage, high fidelity version of the homepage that we're gonna test out. And I think that's gonna be where we can do more of the things that you mentioned, Paul, like trying to consolidate information, make sure that it's not overwhelming and not too long for people as they scroll. So I think that's something that we can keep pushing on that front and the visual end as well. So that's would be just a little update on where we are.
Slide trước thì có một cái slide mà bọn em để cái cơ bản quy tắc rồi. Tôi đi đâu rồi?
Is it this one?
It's not about the whole process. What is the next step and what is the timeline? Specific next step. So I think after the meeting, get back to us on the next step of what discussed is important. And then also I want to see the update version of the look and feel. Yeah, that we already discussed the other day.
Mm.
And then the discovery report.
Yes.
Yes. For the specific next step, we need a specific timeline for it. And we please follow up with the team to get the timeline.
Yeah, so I'm just thinking that probably middle to late next week, now that we're completing discovery and we're starting the next phase, it might be worthwhile bringing a couple of our key stakeholders into a conversation.
Yeah.
By that, I mean spending an hour with Nick, thinking through the exec summary of the discovery on some of the key decisions that we are making around things like navigation and information architecture / hierarchy. Problem that we've got with him particularly is that he's unfortunately had a little experience building websites, and we need to therefore.
25 years.
He thinks he's built a lot of websites, and I think we just need to make sure that we keep him close, so that we don't get to a point where we have to backtrack too far.
I think what we need to prepare as one thing to present to it is the first information architecture, wireframe, and also the look and feel. This will definitely question.
Yeah, but again, that's getting to sign off on the wireframe, and we'll come back with the look and feel. I don't want to confuse the two things. And if he signed the wireframe, then the look and feel is more defendable. If you see the wireframe and then he won't genuinely, he will not look at a wireframe if you put a design in front of him. He will ignore the wireframe completely and go straight to the design, supply, components. So that self-awareness about managing risk, let's get information architecture and wireframe approved. And then even if it's a week later, this is what's actually going to look like, then at least it's within the context of the wireframe he's approved. Okay. If he goes, I don't think that, let's make that bigger, make that smaller, move that template over there, blah, blah, blah. Then all of a sudden our wireframe starts changing. See, as soon as you show him a picture, we're off to the races. Let's just show him some. Yeah, within the timing that we've got, guys, because I'm conscious that I'm already second week in June. We need this up and running with the first version by September.
Where you plan to have the meeting?
Middle of next week.
We have everything that we mentioned earlier this week, within this week, so that can be planned for the meeting.
I'm in Ho Chi Minh City when they're not Tuesdays. Wednesday, Thursday, ideally.
So yes, yes, yeah. Please, anh Peter anh nốt xuống giúp em nhé. Trong phần này cái đấy để bàn sau. Yeah, mình sẽ
So, thank you, team.
Thanks, gang. Really good job.
Thank you.
Rest, right? Yeah.
Oh,
Thank you.
yeah.
It's going to be like, guys, information. I have the technology to